On Monday, 22 June 2026, a surprising event unfolded in London. Keir Starmer, then the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, stepped out of the famous Black Door of number 10 Downing Street. This is where British Prime Ministers live and work. A small crowd of journalists and curious people waited. It was just before noon. Starmer gave a short, emotional speech. He looked very sad, and his voice broke as he spoke. He announced that he was leaving his important job. This news shocked many, marking one of the shortest and most turbulent times for a prime minister in modern British history. He became the 7th prime minister in Britain in just 10 years. This quick end to his leadership makes many wonder, how can a powerful leader who won a huge election victory only 2 years earlier lose everything and resign in tears outside his own home? Why does this pattern of leaders falling quickly happen so often in Britain? This story will explain how Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister quickly unraveled. It will also show what this says about Britain, a country that has changed its leader many times since voting to leave the European Union a decade ago. It also asks what happens when people continue to be disappointed by the politicians they choose. To truly understand why Starmer left, it is important to know a unique part of how Britain chooses its top leader. People in Britain never vote directly for a prime minister.
Instead, they vote for a local constituency representative called a Member of Parliament, or MP. The political party that wins the most MPs in the House of Commons then gets to form the government. The leader of that winning party is then appointed Prime Minister by the monarch, King Charles III. This system is very important for understanding Starmer's exit. Because the public chooses parties and local representatives, not the head of government directly, a prime minister can lose their job without any public vote. If the sitting prime minister loses the confidence of their own party's MPs, the party can simply replace its leader. This new leader then becomes prime minister. This is exactly the way Starmer's time in office ended. This system gives political parties a great deal of power over who governs the country, and it is a main reason why Britain has seen so many changes at the top recently. But what secret forces and quiet betrayals within the government pushed him out so quickly? This story aims to reveal these hidden answers. 2. A very fast fall. Keir Starmer became Prime Minister in July 2024. His Labour Party had won a huge election victory, taking many seats in Parliament. However, some people called it a landslide without love. This meant that many voters chose Labour because they were tired of the old government, not because they felt very strongly about Starmer's party. It was a victory built on weak support. Soon after taking office, Starmer gave a major speech. He told the country, "Things will get worse before they get better." This message was very different from what people wanted to hear. After many difficult years, people hoped for a promise that things would get better quickly. His words seemed to make people less hopeful. The public's opinion of Starmer changed very fast. Within just 1 month, polls showed that more people did not like his work than liked it. This approval rating kept falling. By late 2025, he was the least popular prime minister in many years. It was a surprising phenomenon to see such a quick drop in support after a big win. Strangely, this happened even when some parts of the country's economy were getting better. Between mid-2024 and early 2026, the UK economy grew faster than most other rich countries. Also, the number of people waiting for hospital treatments in England went down. Even the number of people crossing the English Channel in small boats got smaller. But these positive facts did not help Starmer. The good news did not make people feel better about him or his government. It seemed that his early warning had stayed in people's minds. Many felt that the government was not strong or clear in its plans. This created a paradox: good economic numbers, but falling public trust. This quick fall in popularity showed the first small cracks in the government's fragile foundation.
The Loveless landslide had given Labour power, but without deep public passion. Now, just 2 years after the election, a deeper trouble was growing. Beneath the surface of the polls, the party itself was starting to feel the strain. The hope of 2024 was quickly disappearing, and harder times were coming. 3. The big mistakes. Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister quickly faced big problems. His government made choices that angered many people and hurt his standing. These were the big mistakes that began his fall. One of the most damaging decisions was about winter fuel payments. These were payments given to older people to help them pay for heating in winter. Starmer's government changed the rules. They said fewer older people would get this money. This decision aimed to save money, around £1.4 billion. However, it made many older voters feel cheated and upset. They had voted for Labour, expecting help, not less support. The public outcry was huge. Because of this, the government changed the policy a little bit, but it was already too late. This U-turn showed that the government was not listening to the people, or was forced to change its mind under pressure. Then came a major scandal involving Peter Mandelson, a very experienced Labour politician. Starmer had chosen him as Britain's special ambassador to the United States. But news came out that Mandelson had connections to a person who had been found guilty of serious crimes. Starmer later told Parliament that Mandelson had lied repeatedly during the checks for his job. This made people doubt Starmer's judgment and the care taken in choosing important officials. Starmer had to remove Mandelson from his post and from a group of senior advisors to the king. The effects of the Mandelson scandal were immediate and serious. Starmer's own chief of staff, Morgan McSweeney, suddenly left his job. Just days later, Tim Allen, his director of communications, also resigned. These two people were very close to the Prime Minister and crucial for his daily work. Their quick departures showed that deep problems were growing inside the government. Many people started to think Starmer's government was not as honest as they had hoped. Some even compared it to previous governments known for their own ethics scandals. Other issues added to the pressure. Starmer's deputy, Angela Rayner, resigned because of a tax investigation. Then his defense ministers quit their jobs because they disagreed with how much money was being given to the military. Starmer himself also faced criticism for taking free tickets to pop concerts and football matches. These small and big problems created a feeling that the government was often reacting to problems, not leading. The public grew more and more angry. Trust in the government broke down. Inside Starmer's cabinet, there was secret disagreement and fighting. With so many scandals and changes, and the public losing faith, many wondered, how much longer could the Prime Minister survive this growing storm and keep his job? The government was at war with itself, and the future looked very turbulent time for Britain. 4. The bad election. May 2026 brought very bad news for the government. English local elections took place on May 7th, and the results were disastrous for Keir Starmer's Labour Party. A new political group, Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, saw an explosive rise in support.
Reform UK gained more than 600 council seats across England. At the same time, Labour lost over 450 seats in areas that were once its strongholds. The Conservative Party also lost almost 300 seats, showing a big change in British politics. Nigel Farage, a long-time political figure known for his strong views on leaving the European Union and an ally of U.S. President Donald Trump, said this was a historic shift. Reform UK spoke to working-class voters who felt ignored by both big parties. They focused on issues like immigration, which many people felt had not been handled well by previous governments. The results of these local elections showed a deep fragmentation of Britain's famous two-party system. For many years, Labour and the Conservatives had been the two main political forces, but this election revealed that voters were moving away from them in large numbers.
The question was, where did Labour's missing voters actually go? The data revealed a surprising truth. Labour's voters did not just move to Reform UK. Only a small percentage of those who voted Labour in the 2024 general election switched to Farage's party. Many more, about 32%, chose other parties like the Green Party or the Liberal Democrats. This meant Labour's votes were bleeding in two directions, to the populist right and to parties further to the left. This changing British political map was something few people had seen coming. The traditional system, where two parties dominated, was slowly ending. Experts now saw a 5- or 6-party landscape. This shift was a clear sign that many voters were unhappy with the main parties. The nuance in the voting showed that people were not just moving to one new idea, they were looking for many different options. This made it very hard for Starmer and Labour to win back trust and support from the public. 5. A new leader comes. Andy Burnham was a popular leader from the north of England. He was often called the King of the North. Burnham had a different path to power than many politicians. He had tried to become his party's leader 2 times before, in 2010 and 2015, but did not win. After these losses, Burnham left London politics. He went back to his home region. There he became the mayor of Greater Manchester in 2017. As mayor, he changed many things. He helped the region grow economically and improved public transport, creating the B network for buses under public control. This work made him very popular with people. He showed he could be a strong leader outside of London. Many people in the Labour Party now saw him as their favourite to lead the country. To become Prime Minister, Burnham needed to be a Member of Parliament, an MP. But he was not an MP at this time, so a special plan was made. On May 14, 2026, an MP named Josh Simons resigned his seat in Makerfield. He did this to create a vacancy. This was unusual. It was so Burnham could try to become an MP. Burnham ran in the by-election for Makerfield. On June 18, 2026, he won with many votes. His victory was important, showing he could win even where Reform UK was strong. Now Andy Burnham was an MP again. This meant he could finally challenge for party leader and Prime Minister. With Burnham back in Parliament, the pressure on Keir Starmer grew very quickly. A challenge for the top job was clearly coming. Even foreign leaders noticed. On the eve of Starmer's announcement, Donald Trump, the current President of the United States, posted on social media. He said Keir Starmer would resign as Prime Minister, criticizing his work on immigration and energy. This unusual public comment from a foreign head of state
showed the situation's seriousness.
The final countdown for Keir Starmer had begun. Andy Burnham was ready. 6. The final days. The last 6 weeks of Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister were very difficult. It felt like a slow and agonizing end. Cabinet ministers in his government started to leave their jobs one by one. This piled unbearable pressure on him. For example, Wes Streeting, the health secretary, quit his job on May 14th. He wrote a letter saying that a new leader was needed, making Starmer's position even weaker. Other important figures also stepped down, showing growing distrust within the party. At the same time, Andy Burnham made his move to become the new leader. An existing Member of Parliament, Josh Simons, resigned his seat in the Makerfield constituency on May 14th. This was done specially so that Burnham could try to win that seat in a by-election. Burnham needed to be an MP to become the leader. He won the Makerfield by-election on June 18th with many votes. This showed he was a very popular choice, even in areas where Starmer's party had lost support. His win gave him a strong platform for the top job. Even foreign leaders spoke about Starmer's future. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, wrote on social media. He publicly predicted that Keir Starmer would leave his job as Prime Minister. Trump also said Starmer had failed on important issues like immigration and energy. This intervention from another country's leader was unusual and drew much attention, highlighting the severe crisis. Finally, on Monday, June 22nd, Keir Starmer stood outside number 10 Downing Street. He looked sad and his voice cracked. He announced his resignation to the nation. He said his party had answered the question of whether he was the best leader, and he accepted their answer. Starmer told everyone that he had already spoken to King Charles about his decision. He would stay as a caretaker prime minister until a new leader was chosen in September, promising an orderly handover of power. Soon after Starmer's speech, the Labour Party moved quickly. Wes Streeting, who had quit earlier, quickly confirmed he would support Andy Burnham. He asked other party members to do the same, urging them to unite. Many Labour members of Parliament gathered behind closed doors and cheered loudly for Burnham. This meant Burnham had strong and immediate support to challenge for the top job. His powerful takeover began right away. 7. The money problem. When the Prime Minister resigned, the world's money markets reacted quickly. Many people watched closely to see what would happen to the British pound. The pound's value went down, almost to its lowest point for the year. This meant it was worth less compared to other currencies like the US dollar. Also, the cost for the British government to borrow money went up. This is shown by something called bond yields. When bond yields rise, it means investors want more interest for lending money to the government. This rise shows that investors were not completely sure about the future. However, the market's reaction was not as bad as some thought. Experts said this was because Starmer's exit was not a big surprise. Many investors had already guessed he would leave. They were also happy that there was no long fight inside the Labour Party for a new leader. One expert said this calm reaction showed more about how investors felt about Starmer than about the new leader, Andy Burnham. Investors had not yet thought much about Burnham's plans. For everyday people, these changes in the money markets matter a lot. When the British pound is weak, things bought from other countries become more expensive. This includes food and other goods. Going on a holiday outside Britain also costs more. A weak pound can also make prices go up inside the country, which is called inflation.
So the money problems in London can make your supermarket shopping and summer trips more costly. Rich investors are worried about Andy Burnham's ideas for the economy. Burnham believes that Britain taxes people who work too much and rich people too little. He wants to change this. He has also said that important services like energy, water, housing, and transport should be more controlled by the public. He even supported the idea of the government owning Thames Water, a big water company.
This is sometimes called nationalization. These ideas worry investors. They fear that a new government with these plans could mean big changes to how businesses work. They want to see if Burnham can make big economic changes while still managing the country's money carefully. This is called fiscal discipline. The next few weeks will be very important. Everyone is watching to see if Burnham's promises of bold changes will be stopped by scared money markets. Will his new policies be destroyed before he can even start? The task ahead for him is huge. He will lead a country where 7 different prime ministers have served in 10 years. People want change, but the global financial system is always ready to react to new leaders and their policies. The end of the story. Britain has seen many changes in its government. In just 10 years, the country had 7 different prime ministers. This period of quick change began after Britain decided to leave the European Union a decade ago. Leaders like Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak all had their time in the top job, but none of them lasted very long. Each leader left office for different reasons, often due to problems and disagreements within their own political party. This constant change has made many people feel tired and unsure about politics. When Keir Starmer became Prime Minister, he promised to bring stability to the nation. He told the country he would put an end to the chaos of constantly changing leaders.
However, sadly, Starmer himself also became another leader who left office quickly. Less than 2 years after his big election win, his own party lost trust in him, just like with several leaders before him. This was a tragic irony, as his main goal was to stop the constant changes at the top. He wanted to show a different path, but the system made him another part of the problem. This pattern of quick leadership changes shows a bigger problem that goes beyond just one person. Many people, especially working-class voters and those in rural areas, feel that their leaders do not truly understand their lives. They believe that decades of big changes in the world, like globalization and cuts in government spending, have made their daily lives harder. This is true even when overall economic numbers, like national growth, look good on paper. This feeling of being let down by the political elite is not just a British story. It is happening in many countries. People across Europe and North America are also losing trust in their traditional political parties and systems. The way Britain chooses its leaders gives a lot of power to political parties, rather than directly to the voters. This means a prime minister can be changed without a new general election. So, a big question remains. Can any single politician truly fix problems that have taken decades to grow, all within just a few years?
Or is the way Britain is governed now fundamentally broken, needing bigger changes than just a new person in charge at number 10 Downing Street? Britain will have a new Prime Minister very soon, most likely Andy Burnham, by the time Parliament starts again after the summer. He will step into the same difficult situation with a public that has seen many leaders come and go. Will he be able to bring the stability and trust that Britain desperately needs? Or will he also become another part of this revolving door of leaders? What do you think about why so many leaders have come and gone so quickly in recent years?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world,